Are we okay? We got to fucking... We've got to do the fucking shit that we for fucking drug abuse. No! Are you listening?
Sean here. I have COVID and I feel like crap. I tried to make this video before, but I just couldn't get through it. I'm gonna try it this time. Lorne is what I like to call geostationary. That's someone who grew up in the place they were born and the place they're gonna die. They have family there, they found the love of their life, they started their own business, whatever it may be. Me, if I lived in Florida, the reason I wouldn't move would simply be because I loved where I lived. None of that is a bad thing. What I'm talking about Lorne is, he's geostationary because he failed to launch. As soon as I got out of high school, I knew I wanted to go in the military. I didn't want to go to college like everybody else. I joined the Marine Corps, traveled the world, had a blast, ended up working in Oregon for the Intel Corporation, and I finally moved home after I had that horrible engagement, that breakup, the one that I called off. It was just killing me. I was depressed, and I injured myself, and my best friend was getting married, invited me home, and about that time I found out my brother-in-law had cancer. So I just used all of that as an excuse, and I moved back home. I stayed with my parents for 2 months, and then I got the hell out of Dodge because I needed to. I never lived in that city again. I moved back close because my dad was put in long-term care. None of that you guys care about. Well, what I'm saying is, I launched. Lorne never did. I know he was coaxed into joining the military. He was convinced it was a good idea. Hell, one of his friends may have told him this is a great way to get women, dude. Chicks dig the uniform. I think, and this is my theory, the reason he lives in Uncle Clay's trailer on Uncle Clay's land, at least that's what he said, that's who he says it is because Mama Gwen probably made some kind of deal, like I have to get this guy out of here. I can't live my life because he's on my skirt tails all day long. Lorne would probably think he was helping out, but in reality, he was terrorizing his mom. He would never leave her alone. He doesn't have any hobbies. He'd never leave. He'd be at the house all the time. He'd think he was helping. Oh, I'm going to help you do this. I'm going to help you. Mom, let me do that for you. When all she wanted was, Lorne, please, go get a life of your own. Go get a job. Live. Don't hang out here anymore. But of course, Lorne, he's going to mooch as long as he can. We don't really know much about the real Lorne Armstrong. We don't know what's true and what's not. The only things that we know are true are what other people tell us about him. The Betty situation. We know what he did. He left to go to Nashville. Why is that important? Because I think that was a turning point in his mom's life. She was probably like, finally. I know it wasn't under the best circumstances, but it's Lorne. It's what I expect from him. At least he's in Nashville. Maybe he'll find a life down there. I'm certain that Lorne was calling his mom every single day until he hit up Kayla. And it was at that time, in my head, I think that Lorne stopped calling his mom so much, and he focused all of his attention on his 13-year-old child bride and gave his mom a break. When he went to prison, I can only imagine what his mom must have been feeling. Relief that he's going to be somewhere else. Maybe she realized that this structure is what he needs. Maybe she thought it would straighten her son out. We know it did not. Roy, on the other hand, he definitely wasn't staying at home. He was drinking and smoking and having sex, and he didn't want Mama Gwen to see or hear any of that. Now, that's my opinion. Could be right, could be wrong. I'm just saying I don't think he had a failure to launch. I think he was in a rocket ship that had 2 bottle rockets attached to it. And yes, he got up in the air, but he quickly crashed back down to earth. When Lorne was in prison, from what we can tell, from what we've gathered, he called his mom a lot, and he sent a lot of letters, and quite a few of them did not get a response. I guarantee you those letters were talking about the number of roaches that crawled across the floor, the one Spanish word he learned that day. Stuff that would put you to sleep, almost like listening to one of my videos. So backing up really quick, Mama Gwen, at one point in her life, probably saw herself in some kind of romantic relationship, sitting on the front porch, in rockers, holding hands, drinking lemonade as the sun set. I don't know if that's what she envisioned, but I'm sure she probably had some kind of vision, and it didn't involve Lorne Armstrong. Because of what Lorne did, because of being in prison, he's now stuck where he is. And Mama Gwen, who was hoping her children would go off, find their own life, have some grandchildren, and they could come back and see Grandma, is now stuck with the loser, living in a trailer in the same spot, refusing to move to a place where he could get a better job with a bigger paycheck, refusing to take any job whatsoever, bumming off his mom, and whenever he comes over to visit, she's reminded of who he is, what he used to be, what he's done, and what he's doing now. Imagine how boring it must be. Living in Cornville, not having a life. Lorne used to talk about being religious. He doesn't even go to church. We've never heard him talk about church. He said he was religious a few times. Church is a great social place. It's a place of forgiveness, or at least it should be. With his charge, it might be difficult to find a church that would allow him in. Yes, that may be true. Look at what happened to Rabbi David Kay. He couldn't even go to any synagogues. They wouldn't have him. So Lorne, with his restrictions, probably couldn't go into church, couldn't find a place. I honestly thought eventually Lorne would find a female sex offender. Someone that would have the same restrictions. They would have the same challenges. Maybe someone who understands, and they could sit across from each other and lie to each other that they never meant to do it. But so far he hasn't. Again, he's falling for the same shit. I want to know if he's talking to a catfish woman right now, and I want to know if anybody's recorded it. Because I guarantee you, all it would take was one phone call from any of these catfish women he's talked to in the past. The minute he heard Tiffany's voice again, that would be it. And you could say Tiffany lost her voice and talked with a robot as well. And he would continue to talk to a robot. And he would continue to think they were going to move out there. Because Lorne, he never launched. He doesn't want to launch. He expects all these catfish women to move up with him. Oh, restrictions in Maine, and there is a way around that. And I did a little bit of research, and it does take some paperwork. All he has to do is find a job in another state, one that pays well, and he can start the process. You can't move for stupid reasons. And Shen's Koala could probably tell you why am I moving my hands? Could probably tell you much more about that than I can. When Lorne's mom dies, if she's not dead already, I don't know. He's not going to have anything else in Cornville. I don't know how long Roy would stay there if his mom died. I don't even know if Roy's there now. But I do know that Mama Gwen is sort of the hub. And if she goes, what does Lorne have left? He has nothing. He's sitting in a trailer. And if Roy's gone, there's nobody around him that he's friends with. Nobody he knows. That would be a perfect time for him to launch, to get out of there and try to find some semblance of a life of his own. I'll put it in these terms right here. Say you're living on a farm. It's already remote. Your parents have a farm right over the ridge, and you see them on a regular basis, and they pass away. And all the neighbors you used to know have passed away, and they're all new neighbors, and they're not as friendly. You're left on that farm in the middle of nowhere with no anchor, nobody to talk to. If you need something, you can't go right over the ridge to get it like you used to. You have to do everything on your own, and you're not equipped to handle it. You have the skill set of Lorne Armstrong. How long do you think you can survive? At some point, you would have to look back, not just at you going to prison, but we know Lorne would use perverted justice and NBC as a scapegoat, because it's easier than looking at what he's done. But he would have to take a look back at everything that got him to where he's at. Look at all the time he's wasted, all of the things he could have been learning. But instead, he's drive truck, he couldn't even operate a low. He fell for some cockamamie website scheme with weekend tax that I mentioned before. And all of this was because he refused to move on with his own life. He was completely content to live in this little corner of nowhere and be a nobody and do nothing. I have no idea what Lorne Armstrong does during the week. I used to like basketball, and I'm going to use this as an example. I used to love basketball, and I would look forward to when the Kentucky Wildcats would play Friday, Saturday, whatever it was. I would count down the days. Lorne viewed these catfish women calls as the same. He would be counting down during the week until he got to speak to them. Now, without any catfish women, what gets him through the week? He doesn't have a job. What does he have to look forward to? Nothing. And that's a problem. All of this started because this guy couldn't launch from his house and land somewhere else without crashing and burning. So if there was a textbook example of failure to launch, it would be Lorne Armstrong. I have no idea if any of that made sense. I feel like crap, but I wanted to make a video. I have some better ones coming out. I love you guys very much. I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah,